Chosen one, have you ever felt like something beyond your understanding was about to happen? Like the universe was pausing for you? This Monday isn't going to feel like just another start to the week. No, this Monday has been marked, etched into the timeline of your life like a secret chapter only heaven could write. There's a divine atmosphere building, charged with purpose, with alignment, with breakthrough. And those who are spiritually tuned in will feel it before it even begins. Could it be that this is the moment you've been unknowingly preparing for? You won't need to chase it. You won't have to force it. You'll simply find yourself in it, like a scene unfolding around you that matches your deepest prayers. And not the ones you spoke out loud, but the ones you whispered in tears, in silence, in faith. This Monday has a plot twist. Something unexpected is being released, something that was hidden behind the veil of delay, now stepping boldly into your reality. If your spirit is already stirring, type 777 in the comments right now. It's more than a number, it's your confirmation code to the divine alignment ahead. Say to the heavens, I receive it, I'm ready. And before we go further, let me take a moment to honor each of you who has sown into this message through Super Thanks. Your generosity isn't just support, it's spiritual partnership. It fuels this mission and brings light into places where darkness has lingered for far too long. Whether you've given, prayed, liked, or simply watched, thank you. Truly, you are a blessing beyond measure, and this community is stronger because of you. But now, lean in, because what's coming next will feel like prophecy fulfilled in real time. Something is already in motion, behind the scenes, preparing to meet you where you are. The kind of encounter that doesn't just shift your day, it shifts your destiny. Let's open the curtain and step into what's been divinely scripted for you. The scene is set, the timing is now, and you are the main character in this unfolding move of God. God's chosen ones, this Monday will be like a movie. Listen. You, God's chosen one, are about to step into something extraordinary. This Monday is not just another line on your calendar. It is a divine appointment, a spiritual unfolding that has been orchestrated behind the curtain of the visible world. Everything you've been through, every delay, every detour, every disappointment, they've all been leading up to this precise moment in time. Can you feel the shift in the atmosphere? There's something stirring that doesn't feel like coincidence. That's because it isn't. It's not random. It's revelation. Heaven has been scripting a scene just for you. This isn't just a Monday. It is a divine turning point wrapped in the ordinary. And just like Joseph didn't know that the very day he was summoned from the prison would be the day he'd be crowned in Pharaoh's palace, you too may not fully grasp what's being aligned for you behind the scenes. Genesis 41 tells us that Joseph went from pit to palace in a single day. Could this Monday carry that same redemptive shift for you? There's a cinematic energy building, a kind of holy suspense. The lights are dimming, the curtain is rising, and all of heaven is holding its breath. Have you noticed how sometimes life feels like you've stepped into a scene from a film you didn't audition for, but somehow it fits you perfectly? That's not luck. That's divine authorship. God has written this chapter long before you were even aware there was a story being told. This moment has been in development for years. Through every quiet night of prayer, every tear shed in silence, every time you held on when nothing made sense. When Michelangelo, the legendary sculptor and painter, was asked how he created masterpieces from marble, he replied, "I saw the angel in the marble and carved until I set him free." What if this Monday is the moment God chips away the final layer and reveals the masterpiece He's been shaping in you all along? This isn't hype, it's holy. It's not exaggeration, it's prophecy in motion. What you're about to experience is not the result of mere chance. This is the unveiling of what was promised. As Isaiah 60:22 says, "When the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen." Could this be your appointed time? Stay close to this message. Don't click away. Don't let distraction rob you of a word that was tailor-made for your spirit. Because this isn't just a video, it's a sacred signal, a divine bridge that connects where you were and where God is about to lead you next. Could it be that this very message is your spiritual cue to get ready? Now, breathe deeply and take a moment to write your boldest, most radiant, unshakable desire in the comments. Let it be filled with light, filled with hope, and charged with fearless faith. Make it something that doesn't just touch earth, but activates heaven. Seal it with 777 as your heavenly confirmation number, a symbol that you are aligned and ready. Remember, divine favor responds to faith that dares to speak. The floodgates of blessing are triggered not by wishful thinking, but by radical belief. And when you declare your intention boldly, you're not just speaking into the air, you're commanding the spiritual atmosphere to shift. If you haven't already, now is the time to subscribe, to connect, to anchor yourself into this divine journey. Like this video as a sign that you're not just observing, you're participating. Because this Monday isn't about fleeting motivation, it's about a transformational alignment, a spiritual elevation that has the power to change not just your week, but your direction entirely. You're not stepping into a scene, you're stepping into your calling, and that changes everything. This Monday will not be just another sunrise in a string of ordinary days. It is destined to be the moment when the extraordinary no longer feels foreign, but begins to feel familiar, when what once seemed impossible becomes your new normal. For too long, your days may have echoed with disappointment, your nights filled with unanswered prayers, and your calendar marked more by survival than success. But that season is shifting. The author of your story is turning the page, and what's about to unfold will feel like a divine plot twist in a script that had once gone silent. You've experienced delay, but not denial. You've walked through valleys where the silence felt louder than your cries, and you've endured days that blended into weeks where the only progress you could see was that you were still standing. But remember the story of Hannah in 1 Samuel 1. She was overlooked for years, mocked in her pain, and yet after her faithful cry to God, she gave birth to Samuel, the prophet who would anoint kings. What if your prolonged wait has been preparing you to birth something prophetic? Something rare is stepping onto the stage of your life. And here's the holy tension. You may not even realize just how close you are to the part of your story where everything changes. Could it be that you are standing only inches from your breakthrough, yet still unaware of the divine cue about to be given? You're not a background character in this season. You are the central force that moves the plot forward. The narrative has always revolved around the journey God is writing through you. The tension, the conflict, the silence, they were never signs of abandonment. They were the setup, the foreshadowing. Just like David, who was forgotten in the fields while his brothers stood in front of Samuel, you too have been hidden for a reason. Because when heaven schedules your rise, no earthly voice can block your name from being called. This Monday will be unlike any you've known. It won't be another routine morning. It's the day a divine interruption arrives. The moment the phone rings with the message that shifts everything. The conversation that leads to doors swinging wide. Doors that weren't supposed to open for you, not by earthly standards. But that's the beauty of God's hand. When He opens a door, it stays open. Revelation 3:7 reminds us that what He opens, no one can shut. Isn't that the kind of shift you've felt quietly brewing? It won't happen because you schemed or hustled your way into the room. It will happen because the invitation was always in heaven's calendar, because God didn't forget the tears, the sacrifices, the moments you almost gave up but didn't. Every rejection, every delay, every no was not punishment. It was divine editing. God was shaping your character for the weight of what's next. Can you feel how the pressure has been forming purpose? After all the pressing, the pruning, and the patience, the curtain is about to rise. Your life is stepping into its next act, the one where the message becomes clear, the story becomes inspiring, and the light hits you at just the right angle. Just as Job, after all his trials, received double for his trouble, so too will you find that this next chapter holds more glory than all the pain behind you. And what if you wake up Monday and everything just feels different, not confusing, but clear, so aligned that it almost feels unreal, the coincidences too precise to be accidents, the timing too exact to be luck? That is the atmosphere of divine storytelling. That's what happens when God writes the scene. Even Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple, once said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." And yet, when you live by faith, those dots sometimes connect right before your eyes. That's the kind of Monday you're walking into, one that proves the dots were always meant to meet. Right now, God is scripting something that only you can fulfill. The spotlight is scanning the room, and it's about to rest on you, not for attention, but for assignment, not for applause, but for impact. You've waited, you've prayed, you've endured. Now, get ready. Your name is being whispered in rooms your feet haven't entered yet. And Monday is when the story changes for good. What is about to unfold in your life cannot be delayed by any human hands, dismantled by any earthly system, or contaminated by the plans of the enemy. This move is divinely sealed. You've shed private tears that no one saw, stood your ground in seasons of hidden growth, and matured in the silence of spiritual obscurity. While others were celebrated publicly, you were being prepared privately. But now, God's timing has arrived. And this Monday, the light that touches you will not be a harsh spotlight. It will be a revealing light, one that unveils your purpose with divine clarity. This won't be a chapter marked by struggle. It will be a scene of elevation. Just like how Jesus was baptized in the Jordan and immediately the heavens opened, Matthew 3:16. This is your Jordan moment. A shift so holy, so unmistakable, that your soul will recognize it before your eyes do. Even as the morning breaks, you'll sense something new in the air, the kind of peace that doesn't need an explanation, because your spirit already knows what your mind is just beginning to comprehend. Have you ever woken up and felt the air charged with purpose, as if all creation was leaning in? That's what's coming. There is a divine rhythm accelerating now, and it's not waiting for hesitation or fear to catch up. It's moving forward with or without your full understanding, because heaven's schedule is not bound to your comfort. Just like Esther, who stepped into the king's court not knowing whether it would mean her death or her destiny, you too are stepping into a moment designed to crown your courage. For such a time as this, Esther 4:14, was never just a phrase. It's the very reason you've been prepared in silence for so long. This Monday carries a divine surge. It may begin like any other day, but before the midnight hour strikes, something will have shifted so significantly that your soul will never be the same. That ordinary morning may end with an extraordinary revelation. Maybe it's a phone call that delivers long-awaited news. Maybe it's a message that confirms the very thing you've been sensing in your spirit. Or perhaps it's a door, one you knocked on months ago and forgot about, that suddenly swings wide open with supernatural ease. How many doors have you walked away from thinking they were closed for good, not knowing God had just been polishing the hinges for the perfect time? When renowned artist Vincent van Gogh was told his work wouldn't matter, he still painted. Today, his creations are considered masterpieces of light and emotion. What if this Monday is the day your years of unseen work finally gain recognition? Not for fame, but for impact. Not because people suddenly changed their minds, but because God said it was time. This Monday will not just be a date, it will be a divine event. But for you to fully receive what's coming, you must stay spiritually open, emotionally grounded, and alert to the subtle ways God moves. Don't let distractions cheapen the depth of this encounter. Don't let doubt whisper louder than your faith. You have to remain expectant, because the language of the miraculous is built on faith that refuses to flinch. Prepare yourself, not just for blessings, but for beauty in its most surprising forms. Breakthroughs may not come wrapped in the packages you imagined. They might arrive disguised as interruptions or detours. Yet these are not obstacles, they are answers. Answers to the prayers you whispered in the dark, the moments you said, "If only," and wondered if heaven heard you. God did hear you. And he didn't just hear, he collected every longing, every cry, every someday plea. Now, those prayers are returning to you transformed. The director of your story, God himself, is calling for action. The camera is rolling. The climax of this act is near. And your role? It's no longer hidden. You're stepping fully into it, with power, with clarity, and with divine timing. What once lived as a quiet hope in your soul is now becoming a loud testimony. Those "if only" moments are turning into "it finally happened" miracles. The scene is set, and you, chosen one, are about to walk into the fulfillment that was always written into your story. This Monday is not simply the start of another week. It is the moment where the ache of waiting turns into the awe of witnessing. The shift may seem sudden to others, but you will know in your spirit that it was never random. It's been building quietly beneath the surface of your life, like a seed breaking through the soil after a long winter. This is divine timing, not coincidence, and while others may call it luck, you will know. It's the faith you sowed in secret now being harvested in the open. Have you ever wondered why your soul still hoped, even when circumstances gave you every reason to stop believing? That's because your spirit could already sense what your eyes had not yet seen. As Hebrews 11:1 reminds us, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Your faith has been the quiet evidence of something God has been preparing long before the world took notice. And when it happens, when that moment arrives, will you shrink back in doubt, or will you rise in trust? Don't talk yourself out of what you've prayed for. Don't dismiss what you feel simply because it doesn't come in the package you expected. So many of your past "if only" whispers are being turned into "finally now" declarations. Could it be that the moment you almost gave up was the moment the breakthrough was nearest? This Monday won't need to shout to be sacred. Like Elijah in 1 Kings 19, you won't find God in the wind, earthquake, or fire. You'll recognize him in the still, small voice, a subtle peace that settles on you like a whisper from eternity. Have you noticed how sometimes the most powerful changes begin in silence? That's the kind of shift you're about to walk into. You might smile without understanding why. People may ask what's different about you, and you won't have words yet, but your spirit will know. Something has moved. A door has opened. God has whispered your name in rooms you've never entered. And suddenly, alignment will feel effortless, not because you made it happen, but because heaven did. Even in the world beyond the church, those with spiritual awareness speak of these moments. Consider Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. Before he built a global brand, he grew up in public housing and often spoke of how his humble beginnings shaped his desire to create a third place, a space where people feel seen and safe. He once said, "In life, you can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward." Doesn't that echo Romans 8:28, which declares, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him." Could it be that everything in your story, every detour, every silence, every delay, was a dot waiting to be connected by divine timing? What if this Monday is when those dots suddenly align? You don't need to manipulate this moment. You don't need to perform. The director of your story, God himself, is calling for action, and your role is no longer waiting in the wings. It's stepping into the divine rhythm that's already unfolding. Psalm 37:23 tells us, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord." Are you ready to step into the order God has already laid out? This miracle won't burst in with noise. It will enter gently but undeniably. And you, chosen one, are the recipient. Will you be present enough to notice it? Will you recognize when the holy enters the room? Let the script unfold. Let the grace of God carry you into the scene he's already written. There's nothing left to force. You don't need to rush. The timing is perfect. The rhythm is divine. And it's all for you. What's arriving this Monday is not some frantic answer to desperation. It's the unfolding of a divine reward born from deep alignment. You didn't manipulate your way here. You didn't climb by stepping on others. You didn't craft shortcuts in the dark. Instead, you waited, sometimes through clenched fists and trembling prayers. You watched others take the spotlight while you remained behind the curtain, and through it all, you held on, quietly, obediently, even when it hurt. That's why heaven is honoring you now. This isn't compensation, it's confirmation. You're not here by accident. You are here because you aligned with the timing of God. Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." Could it be that this is your proper time? That everything that felt like silence was actually strategy? There's a scene ahead that will look like the dream you once thought was too wild to speak out loud. But it won't feel like fantasy. It will feel like peace, like confirmation, like home. Because this moment is not man-made, it is God-authored. You'll find yourself in the right room, speaking the right words to the right soul. And you won't be performing, you'll be flowing. Heaven is not making last-minute changes. What's about to happen has been scheduled on God's calendar long before you were aware there was even a story being written. Yes, you've endured the winds of discouragement. You've heard the voices that told you you're not enough, not chosen, not seen. But those seasons didn't define you, they refined you. You've become unshakable, forged in hidden fires, and now your time has come. That's why this moment cannot pass you by. You've shed fragility. You no longer carry doubt like a burden. You now move with spiritual poise and holy permission. This Monday, you are stepping into the scene with stillness and strength, with a calm that confuses chaos, because you are no longer trying to fit into someone else's story. You're walking into the one God wrote for you. You will feel a quiet prompt in your spirit, a divine nudge that says, now, speak now, go now, say yes now. And when it comes, you must respond. That isn't fear, that is flow. It's the moment heaven aligns with earth, and your spirit says yes before your mind catches up. Have you ever considered that all the delays, the denials, the not yet responses were simply heaven holding space for a better now? That's what this Monday carries. It may start with silence. It may look uneventful at first glance. But don't be fooled. Heaven often moves quietly before it reveals loudly. Think of those cinematic scenes where the city is still, the music is soft, and everything seems calm until the breakthrough crashes in. That's the mood of this Monday. A holy suspense, a divine build-up. A moment where the spiritual tension snaps and what's been hidden is finally revealed. Even in the real world, those who walk with patience often carry the deepest reward. Consider Pope Francis, a humble man who spent decades serving in silence in Buenos Aires. He once said, "God is in the gentle breeze, not the storm." His unexpected elevation to Pope didn't come through ambition, but through surrender. What if your quiet years were not obscurity, but preparation for a moment of elevation that comes without striving? You're about to experience that moment, not as a spotlight, but as a shift. It might be a flash, it might be a whisper, but when it comes, you'll feel it like a window opening in your soul. It will feel like deep knowing, like clarity in chaos, like peace that passes understanding. Could that shift come from something as small as a conversation, an idea, a single email? Absolutely. Because God often wraps miracles in simplicity. Don't dismiss it. Don't call it coincidence. That moment is the invitation, the signal that you are stepping fully into the storyline of your rising. And now you see why the shaping had to be so intense, why the quiet seasons bruised so deeply. You were not forgotten. You were being refined, trained, molded, prepared for the scene only you can play. The version of you emerging this Monday is nothing like the version who began this journey. You are not the same person who cried last year, doubted last season, or questioned everything just last month. You've walked through fire and kept your faith. You've stood through storms and kept your praise. Now, you carry a strength that doesn't shout. You carry a peace that doesn't shake. You no longer respond to noise. You respond only to the divine signal. This is not the beginning of your story. This is the part where it gets good. You've learned something powerful through your journey. You now know the sacred difference between distractions and destiny. That's why, this Monday, you don't need to walk in with worry. You walk in with expectation. Expectancy isn't naive hope. It's mature faith. It's the mindset of the chosen. You're not blindly wishing anymore. You're not anxiously pacing the floor. You're waiting for a promise you didn't fabricate. And that's what sets you apart. You're standing on something eternal. God's promises are never delivered in silence. They carry an atmosphere. And when you're close to the fulfillment, your spirit feels it first. Do you feel it now? The pace quickening, the alignments happening faster than your words can catch up. That's divine acceleration. Deuteronomy 28:2 says, "All these blessings will come upon you and overtake you if you obey the Lord your God." And chosen one, the blessings that once felt delayed are now chasing you down, not because of your striving, but because of your obedience. Even if you don't have all the details of what's coming, something within you already knows. It's time. You've been sensing the shift. You've been having dreams that feel more like previews. You've found yourself preparing for something you couldn't fully name. That's not coincidence. That's a spiritual indicator. God often awakens your instincts before he unveils the scene. Don't panic if Monday doesn't look like what you envisioned. The packaging may be different, but the promise remains. Think of how God led the Israelites to freedom, not the shortest route, but the one that preserved them from unseen danger. Exodus 13:17-18. Could it be that your delays were protection in disguise? That what looked like closed doors were actually sacred redirections? God doesn't need your logic to move. He only requires your trust. The path may look unfamiliar, but the outcome will feel like home. That's how divine alignment works. You'll notice a difference, not because everything's loud, but because everything suddenly feels still. You'll experience peace, not panic. Assurance, not overthinking. You won't need to analyze the moment because your soul will simply know. It was authored by the one who never misses a detail. Stay attuned to the seemingly small things this Monday. Sometimes heaven wraps a miracle in a moment that looks too ordinary to attract attention. A delayed appointment, a stranger's word, a random idea that suddenly sparks purpose. These aren't accidents, they're clues. Will you be sensitive enough to notice? You are not average, you are chosen, and your spiritual sensitivity, The ability to see what others ignore, to feel what others brush past, is not a weakness. It is your superpower. It's what allows you to sense the divine in the daily, to detect purpose where others see routine, to hear whispers from God where others hear noise. Even in the world outside the church, those who succeed at the highest levels often speak of this inner knowing. Take Maya Angelou, the legendary poet and civil rights activist. She once said, "I believed that I had something to say and I said it." That belief, that inner knowing, that sense of timing, it's not just for poets, it's for you. What if the voice within you is more accurate than the noise around you? This Monday may not come with fireworks, but it will carry confirmation. You'll know it's divine not because it's dramatic, but because it's undeniable. The shift will settle your soul. The moment will make sense, not with facts, but with faith. As this Monday unfolds, your emotions may swell in unexpected ways. Joy may rise without explanation, tears may fall without warning, and your heart may feel the weight of something sacred. That's not weakness, that's recognition. The soul knows when destiny is near, and when the spirit senses arrival, emotion follows naturally. Could it be that these tears are not from sorrow, but from sacred alignment? This isn't merely the start of another work week, it's your spirit standing tall and whispering, "We've arrived. This is it. The shift we've carried in faith is finally here." Just as the Israelites crossed the Jordan River and finally stepped into the promised land after years of wandering, Joshua 3. This is your crossing moment. The terrain beneath your feet may look the same, but the atmosphere around you will testify. Something has changed. The narrative is turning. The next scene is beginning, and the spotlight has begun to warm your skin. What lies ahead will not just feel different, it will be different. Your conversations will carry divine purpose. Your decisions will echo into rooms you haven't stepped into yet. And the favor that finds you will be confirmation of what your soul quietly held onto all along, that God was not finished. He was simply constructing a plot twist so profound it could only unfold in divine timing. Think of Ruth, who faithfully gleaned in Boaz's field, not knowing that behind the scenes, God was preparing her for redemption, honor, and legacy. Ruth 2-4. She didn't strive, she served. And in doing so, she stepped into the spotlight that would position her in the lineage of Christ. Can you see how even your simplest acts of obedience have not gone unnoticed? Even the seasons that felt meaningless had meaning. Every scene in your story, even the ones written in pain, were not wasted. They were rehearsal. Every goodbye, every silence, every moment that seemed insignificant was God clearing the stage, resetting the lights, and positioning you for this very entrance. Romans 8:18 declares, "The sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed in us." Is it possible that your pain was just the prelude to something glorious? And now that moment has come. The air feels electric with divine orchestration. This is not a moment of anxiety or confusion. It is a moment of orchestration, of precision, of holy momentum. You are not scrambling for position anymore. You are no longer waiting to be seen. You already have the place because heaven assigned it. This isn't about striving, it's about stepping. This isn't about performance, it's about positioning. And that positioning is not earned by applause, but by alignment. Everything that needed to be removed has already been removed. Everything that needed to be delayed has already been delayed. And everything that needed to be reshaped has been remolded in the hands of the potter. Isaiah 64:8. Do you realize that all of it, every detour, every redirection, was God rehearsing your rise? Now the stage is ready, and the spotlight is no longer searching. It's found you. Just as Nobel Peace Prize winner Malala Yousafzai, who once lay in a hospital bed after being shot for going to school, rose to speak before nations. You too are stepping into a moment that no one saw coming, but heaven always planned. Malala once said, "When the whole world is silent, even one voice becomes powerful." Haven't you felt that quiet power rising in you? You are no longer rehearsing. The lights are up, the audience is silent, and heaven is calling for your next act. The only thing left to do is step into it. This Monday isn't about comfort or convenience, it's about consecration. It's not arriving because the timing looks perfect from the outside. It's arriving because heaven declared it so. This is not an ordinary hour, it is a holy one. It has been appointed, anointed, and marked for you long before you ever stepped into it. Just as God told Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you, and before you were born, I set you apart." Jeremiah 1:5. This moment, too, has been set apart for your unveiling, your emergence, your rise. You may wake up and see the same ceiling, the same morning sky, the same routine, but something in the spiritual atmosphere will have shifted. The air will feel charged. You'll breathe differently. You'll think differently. There will be no fireworks, but the silence will be sacred. Without anyone saying a word, your spirit will whisper, "This is it." Could it be that the most extraordinary days begin not with noise, but with stillness pregnant with purpose? This won't be a day where you imagine life as a movie. This will be a scene that feels like it was written for you, and you alone. There will be no uncertainty about your role. You won't feel like you have to shrink to avoid unsettling others. You won't wonder whether you're worthy of being seen, because this time the calling on your life will be too loud to ignore, even in the quiet. This Monday, you don't steal the spotlight, you inherit it. The story demands your leadership now. The arc of your life, the journey you've walked, the trials you've survived, they've all led to this chapter. Just like Queen Esther stood before the king for the sake of her people, knowing she risked everything, you too are being positioned for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. Could it be that your courage has matured to the point where heaven now trusts you with more? And when the moment comes, because it will come, you might feel stunned. It may feel surreal, but resist the urge to freeze in hesitation. Don't ask, "Am I truly ready?" Because the truth is, you already are. You've been prepared through fire, through pressure, through silent nights where no one clapped, but God saw your faithfulness. And what you think you still lack, heaven will supply in real time. Philippians 4:19 promises, "And my God will supply all your needs according to his riches in glory in Christ Jesus." Doesn't that mean even your uncertainty has already been accounted for? Where you feel weak, divine strength will rise. Where your words fall short, the Spirit will speak for you. Where fear used to paralyze you, divine energy will now push you forward. This is no longer the era of delay in your life. You are no longer waiting, you are walking. You're no longer hoping from the sidelines. You're moving in divine momentum. And watch this, even the way people see you will change. The eyes that once skimmed past you will stop and stare. The doors that once seemed welded shut will swing wide. Where there were once polite excuses, now there will be eager invitations. But this won't be because people suddenly became more generous. It will be because you've stepped into a new frequency. You've aligned with the call on your life, and everything around you is now forced to acknowledge it. Even in the world outside the church, we've seen this shift. Tyler Perry, filmmaker and storyteller, once described how he used to sleep in his car while chasing a dream no one else believed in. But he stayed faithful. He aligned himself with purpose, and when the time came, the world took notice. He said, "What I've learned is you can't wait for someone else to validate your gift. You have to move and let God catch them up to what he already told you." Isn't that the kind of confidence you've been quietly cultivating? This Monday is not about forcing things open. It's about realizing you've stepped into such deep alignment with God's plan that the doors, the blessings, and the right people can't help but respond. You're not pulling on destiny. You're in rhythm with it. And in that rhythm, mountains move, opportunities multiply, and heaven's orchestration plays louder than the doubts ever could. There will be a stillness in the air, light, almost imperceptible, like a soft breeze brushing against your skin. And yet, within it, a divine clarity will settle over you. You will simply know. You'll know which steps to take next, which burdens to release, which words to speak, and which battles no longer require your sword. There will be no panic, no pressure, only peace. The day will unfold not with chaos, but with choreography. Every moment will feel timed perfectly, like a sequence from a film so carefully written it could only have been directed by God. And while others around you may smile and assume you're lucky, only you will grasp the sacred weight of what's happening. Because you know the price of this peace. You know how many nights you cried without an audience. How many times you stood firm while your world was shaking. You know what it cost to stay faithful when nothing was changing. And now, that hidden perseverance is bearing visible fruit. Could it be that this stillness is not just a sign of rest, but of reward? This clarity is not the result of good timing. It is the reward of right posture. You didn't stumble into favor. You aligned with it. Psalm 25:14 says, "The secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant." You were not in the right place by accident. You were in the right posture for revelation. This isn't luck. This is legacy. This isn't coincidence. This is covenant. Every moment you thought was a delay was actually a rehearsal. Every silence was a refining fire. Every detour was a redirection toward destiny. This moment, this Monday, is the culmination of every hidden prayer, every act of obedience no one else applauded, every time you chose trust over fear. Consider the journey of Nelson Mandela, who spent 27 years imprisoned before becoming the president of South Africa. The world called it a political victory, but Mandela saw it as destiny revealed through suffering. He once said, "I am not a saint unless you think of a saint as a sinner who keeps on trying." Doesn't that echo the heart of the chosen ones? Those who fell but refused to stay down, those who kept trusting when all logic said to quit. Your journey here wasn't easy. You know what it's like to carry the weight of unanswered prayers, of closed doors, of deep isolation. But all of it, the heartbreak, the silence, the sacrifice, was forging something eternal within you. Something that can't be mimicked or fast-tracked. A divine substance, a warrior's heart, a mind that no longer bends to fear. That is the true identity of a chosen one. And this is what makes you ready. Not perfection, but purification. Not being flawless, but being faithful. Not a spotlight, but surrender. You don't need a platform to be powerful. You need alignment. And now that alignment has drawn your moment to you like gravity, this is the hour. The curtain is rising not because you forced it, but because your obedience has made the moment inevitable. The divine script has reached your scene, and all of heaven is leaning in, waiting to see how you will respond. You've walked through fire. You've endured the crushing, but now comes the rising. The divine script of your life has reached the moment when everything pivots. The lights dim, the music swells, and the audience leans forward, not out of curiosity, but out of anticipation. Something's about to shift. The main character, battered yet bold, steps into the scene that changes the narrative forever. And that main character is you. You are walking into a day that will redefine how others see you. But more importantly, it will solidify how you see yourself. This Monday carries the energy of confirmation. Not just confirmation of your gifts, but of your resilience, your calling, your identity. You'll look around and recognize it, not with surprise, but with sacred familiarity. This is the scene I dreamed of, the one you visualized in the quiet corners of hope, the one you once feared was too good for someone like you. And yet, here it is, not because you forced it, not because you pushed your way through doors, but because your endurance became your magnet, because your spirit aligned with heaven's rhythm, because you chose obedience when shortcuts were easier, because you laid down ego for peace, you stayed faithful in obscurity, you prayed when no one saw you, you prepared when nothing seemed to move. And now you're walking into what only preparation and patience could unlock. Isn't that the pattern of the greats in Scripture? Joseph was thrown into a pit and then a prison, but he never stopped preparing. And when Pharaoh called him forward in Genesis 41, Joseph was ready, not because he knew the timing, but because he knew the promise. Could this Monday be your Pharaoh moment, the divine summons that shifts you from waiting to reigning? It's time. Time to walk into what's been reserved for you. Time to say yes without fear, holding your voice back. Time to believe that what's happening doesn't need your full understanding, just your full trust. You don't need all the answers to take the step. You just need the confirmation. And here it is. This is the moment. Don't shrink it. Don't dissect it. Don't try to make it make sense. This isn't logic, it's legacy. This isn't coincidence, it's covenant. What's coming isn't explainable. It's evidence that God finishes what he starts. Get ready to see what happens when God decides it's time for your silence to be transformed into celebration. The waiting room becomes the throne room. The ordinary turns sacred. What once was delayed becomes undeniable. A message arrives. A name is spoken in the right room. A door creaks, then bursts wide open. A yes you didn't chase finds its way into your spirit and seals everything. You won't have to force this moment. You won't have to campaign for it. The assignment will find you because it was written for you. Like David being called in from the fields in 1 Samuel 16, while everyone else assumed he didn't belong. This moment has your name written in invisible ink, visible only to heaven until now. And when it shows up, don't wonder if it's real. It is. Don't question if it's for you. It is. You won't have to strive to prove you're worthy. Your preparation already proved it. And God never misplaces his promises. Heaven is precise. You were never forgotten. You were being positioned. Just like the poet and civil rights activist Maya Angelou, who rose from trauma, poverty, and rejection to become a global voice of strength and dignity, once said, "I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Haven't you carried generations of pain and promise to reach this very moment? Aren't you stepping into something not just for yourself, but for those who will come after you? This Monday won't be loud, but it will be legendary. The echo of your yes will ripple into dimensions you haven't even imagined yet. This is your scene. No one else can play it. No one else can replace it. It was etched into time for you. And now, the heavens are watching, the angels are leaning forward, and the stage is yours. Step into it. Chosen one, you've been carrying dreams that once felt too vast to explain, too sacred to share. Visions so massive that even putting them into words felt like betrayal, because no one would understand what God whispered to your spirit in the stillness. And for years, those dreams didn't look like promises. They looked like burdens, heavy, isolating, misunderstood. Haven't there been seasons where it felt easier to doubt them than to keep carrying them? But now, this Monday, the fog begins to lift. The weight begins to reveal its purpose. The scenes start falling into place like puzzle pieces that never quite fit, until suddenly they do. What once seemed like endless delay now reveals itself as divine editing. You weren't falling behind, you were being aligned. Just like a film director sets the stage for the perfect angle, the perfect light, the perfect moment. Heaven has been positioning you for the shot that changes everything. Have you considered that every no, every moment of being overlooked was God quietly whispering, "Not yet"? What if the rejection wasn't punishment, but protection? In Genesis 50:20, Joseph looked into the eyes of the very brothers who betrayed him and said, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Could it be that the very pain that tried to bury you is now being used to elevate you? Don't be surprised when people who once dismissed your calling suddenly want to collaborate with it. Don't be shocked when rooms that once excluded you now request your voice. That's what favor does. It reverses the current. It flips the script. It rewrites the cast list and hands you the lead. God is not merely restoring what was lost. He is redefining how others see you. Think of David, the shepherd boy, nobody invited to the anointing ceremony in 1 Samuel 16, yet it was him whom God chose. The oil wouldn't flow until he arrived. That's the energy of favor. It waits for you. It requires your presence. It refuses substitutes. And now the oil is about to flow in your direction. Even in the world's stage, we've seen this kind of reversal. Viola Davis, now an Academy Award-winning actress, once shared how she grew up in deep poverty, ashamed of her circumstances. For years, she was overlooked, typecast, told her voice was too strong and her look too different. But she kept showing up, kept believing in the role she hadn't yet seen. Today, she stands as a global force, not because she changed herself, but because the world caught up to who she already was. Isn't that the kind of transformation you've been sensing in your own story? What's coming next won't be subtle. The shift will be felt, not just by you, but by everyone connected to you. God is taking you from hidden to highlighted, from questioned to confirmed, from dismissed to divinely established. This is the moment where the script changes, and everyone will see it, not because you demanded recognition, but because you carried purpose with dignity while no one was watching. This isn't revenge, it's revelation. The world is about to see what heaven already knew about you. And now, chosen one, you must prepare for the unfolding, not just of opportunity, but of responsibility. Because when the spotlight comes, so does the weight of influence. God isn't just elevating you for applause. He's positioning you to shift atmospheres, to unlock doors for others, to be a walking manifestation of answered prayer. Are you ready for favor that not only blesses you, but transforms everyone connected to you? Jesus didn't receive the Spirit at his baptism just to feel divine approval. He received it to begin his mission. Luke 3:21-22. The heavens opened, the Father spoke, and the Spirit descended. That sequence marked a turning point. Could this Monday be that turning point for you? A moment not just to be seen, but to be sent. Because with favor comes assignment. With open doors come divine instructions. This won't just be about what you receive, it will be about what you carry. What if the reason you've felt pressure lately isn't because something's going wrong, but because God is stretching you to match the weight of what's coming? You're being trusted with visibility, with voice, with victory, and each comes with its own spiritual weight. The question is not whether you are qualified, because God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the called. The question is, will you show up without shrinking? Consider this. Pope John Paul II, born Karol Wojtyła in Nazi-occupied Poland, survived war, assassination attempts, and communism to become one of the most beloved global spiritual leaders of the 20th century. He once said, "Do not be afraid. Open wide the doors to Christ." Haven't you also been prepared through hardship, positioned through trial, and now called to step boldly through doors only heaven could open? The people around you may not understand the full weight of what's shifting, but your spirit does. That gentle urgency you've been sensing, it's not anxiety, it's divine alertness. God is activating something in you. Something that was once dormant, hidden beneath disappointment and delay, is rising to the surface now. Not for your fame, but for His glory. This is what you've been rehearsing in the dark for. Every no that built your patience, every not yet that sharpened your discernment, every moment of silence that taught you how to hear God without noise. And now, the wait is turning into a witness. You're about to walk into rooms you didn't apply for, receive confirmations you didn't chase, and feel a boldness that doesn't come from self-confidence, but from spiritual clarity. And the beautiful part, it won't feel forced, it will feel familiar, because deep down, you've always known this was coming. You were never just preparing for a moment, you were being shaped to carry a mantle. Now that you've stepped into this new scene, chosen one, your role has shifted. You are no longer just enduring, you're governing. No longer surviving, you're influencing. Favor didn't come just to elevate your life. It came to establish your authority. Because divine elevation is not just about recognition, it's about responsibility. God has given you access, but with that access comes the need for awareness. The same way Nehemiah rebuilt Jerusalem's walls with one hand and held a sword in the other, Nehemiah 4:17. You are being called to build while defending. Why? Because what God just released in your life is precious, and not everything or everyone will celebrate it. Are you prepared to protect what you've prayed for? There is a new spiritual weight resting on your shoulders now, and it's not a burden, it's a mantle. It's the kind of mantle that Elijah passed to Elisha, 2 Kings 2. One that doesn't just transfer power, but passes on purpose. When Elisha received it, he didn't just receive the ability to perform miracles, he inherited a legacy of impact. Could it be that you're also being handed something generational, something that will ripple beyond your lifetime? This is why your sensitivity to the Spirit matters more now than ever. What used to feel optional, discernment, consecration, alignment, is now essential. You're not walking as who you were. You're walking as who you were always meant to be. That means guarding your time, guarding your words, guarding your peace. Because when heaven gives you territory, hell often sends distractions. You don't owe your past explanations. You owe your future obedience. You don't have to announce every move. The oil speaks for itself. The shift in how people treat you isn't pride, it's proof. You're carrying something different now, and the people around you will begin to notice, even if they can't name it. Suddenly, conversations feel deeper. Opportunities feel more aligned. Your presence begins to disturb some and comfort others. That's the mark of someone walking in divine authority. Even in the natural realm, we see this kind of transformation. Indra Nooyi, former CEO of PepsiCo, once said that before she began making major leadership decisions, she would spend time in silence, discerning not just what to do, but who she was becoming. She led one of the world's largest corporations, not just with strategy, but with identity. Isn't that what you're being called into now? Not just to do more, but to become more? And don't be surprised if you begin to feel misunderstood. Divine elevation often creates spiritual friction. Even Jesus, after returning to his hometown with miracles, was rejected by those most familiar with him. Mark 6:4. They couldn't accept his authority because they remembered his humanity, but their comfort didn't cancel his calling. Should yours? This is your time to lead with humility and walk in clarity. God is placing you in positions where your words carry weight, where your presence opens doors, where your discernment becomes protection, not just for you, but for those connected to you. Have you noticed how the people God brings to you now are more purposeful, more prepared, more aligned? That's not random, that's reflection. They reflect who you're becoming. And as you rise, don't forget this truth. You are not rising instead of others. You are rising to lift others. The anointing on your life is contagious. Your boldness will give others permission to speak. Your stability will calm storms. Your obedience will set a new standard. You are not just living your life, you are shifting atmospheres. Now that you're walking in divine authority, chosen one of the greatest challenges you'll face is not opposition, but distraction. Not loud resistance, but subtle misalignment. Because when the enemy can't destroy your purpose, he will try to disturb your focus. But this time, you won't take the bait. This is the season where you must protect your peace with the same intensity you once used to chase your breakthrough. Why? Because peace is now your position. God didn't just bring you into visibility to be seen. He brought you here to be stable. Stability, after all, is the platform of legacy. You are no longer in pursuit. You are in stewardship. What you once prayed to receive, you must now protect, not out of fear, but out of honor. Don't let comparison dilute your clarity. Don't let their pace distract you from God's rhythm. The oil on your life has a pace of its own. Just like Peter looked away from Jesus and began to sink when he noticed the storm around him. Matthew 14:30. So too will your confidence falter if your focus drifts. Can you remain locked in even when the noise gets louder? You must now carry yourself with spiritual intelligence, discerning not just what looks good, but what's truly God. Everything that glitters isn't gold. Everything that grows isn't God-planted. How many opportunities are simply disguised distractions? Even King Solomon, known for his unmatched wisdom, asked not for riches or revenge, but for understanding, a heart to discern right from wrong. 1 Kings 3:9. That one request gave him everything else. Could it be that what sustains this next level isn't ambition, but discernment? The people around you may begin to shift. Some will lean in with curiosity. Others will pull away in confusion. Don't take either personally. Elevation exposes hearts. You're not losing relationships, you're gaining revelation. God is not subtracting people to hurt you. He's editing your circle to preserve the purity of the next scene. Even in leadership, we see this pattern. Dr. Miles Monroe, the Bahamian pastor and global speaker, often taught, when purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. That's why you must not only understand your calling, but also the boundaries of it. Not everything deserves your energy now. Not everyone deserves access to this version of you. You are not just surviving attacks. You are now stewarding authority. You are not just hearing the voice of God. You are walking as a voice of God in your environment. Your life speaks. Your presence speaks. Your silence speaks. And when you move, heaven echoes. So how do you maintain this holy momentum? By staying rooted, by not letting attention become your addiction, by not mistaking applause for alignment. Favor is not proven by fame, it's proven by fruit. And the fruit of this season will not come from striving, it will come from remaining. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. John 15:5. Isn't that the kind of growth your spirit truly longs for? You're not here to impress, you're here to impact. You're not here to please crowds, you're here to carry kingdom. Let the noise rage, let the shadows whisper, let the world speculate. Your job is not to explain your elevation, your job is to embody it. You don't owe them clarity, you owe God consistency. This season will not require more effort, it will require more intimacy, deeper communion, sharper discernment, quieter preparation. Because while others chase visibility, you're being called to carry presence. And that, chosen one, is the difference between influence that fades and impact that echoes for generations. Chosen one, now that the mantle has found your shoulders, your greatest task is no longer proving you're ready, but preserving the fire that got you here. You didn't arrive by chasing applause, you arrived by chasing God. And in this next chapter, that fire must be guarded more fiercely than ever before. You will be tempted to explain your rise. You will be tempted to shrink it, to make it more palatable to those who only remember who you used to be. But listen closely. Their comfort is not your confirmation. Their applause is not your assignment. You weren't called to be understood. You were called to be obedient. Even Jesus, after performing miracles and speaking truth with divine authority, was rejected in his own hometown. A prophet is not without honor except in his own town. Mark 6:4. If he was questioned, dismissed, and doubted, why would you expect your anointing to come without friction? But the lack of applause isn't the absence of anointing, it's the evidence of assignment. Because the deeper your calling, the quieter your circle becomes. Not everyone can journey with you where God is taking you. And that's not a punishment, it's protection. You are no longer fueled by external validation. You've matured beyond needing constant reminders. Your yes isn't conditional anymore. Your faith no longer depends on how many signs you see. You've reached the point where obedience is your rhythm, even when the heavens seem quiet. And that kind of obedience, it terrifies the enemy. This is where you must learn to live not by sight, but by seal. You've already been sealed by heaven. Ephesians 1:13. You don't need another sign. You don't need the crowd's reaction to feel chosen. The approval of heaven is already stamped on your story. That's why you must protect your oil. Don't waste it explaining. Don't dilute it defending. Don't pour it where there is no demand for the sacred. The 5 wise virgins in Matthew 25 guarded their oil because they knew the bridegroom would arrive unexpectedly. And when he did, only those who had preserved their flame entered into the next season. Could it be that your next elevation depends not on what you do, but on how well you protect what you carry? Even those celebrated in the world had to walk alone before the world understood them. Steve Jobs, co-founder of Apple, was once ousted from his own company, rejected, misunderstood. But instead of pleading to be welcomed back, he sharpened his vision in the wilderness. And when the time was right, he returned, not to seek applause, but to rebuild a legacy. Isn't that the kind of resilience being formed in you? This is the season to burn quietly, to let your private altar be stronger than your public platform, to fall so deeply into God's presence that when people question your path, your peace will answer for you. You're not waiting for man's permission to move. You've already been commissioned by God. Your authority doesn't come from credentials, it comes from calling. So stay low in posture, but high in expectation. Walk softly, but carry fire. Move slowly, but carry weight. Because when the moment calls again, and it will, your inner life must be stronger than the pressure of outer visibility. This is no longer about being next. You are now. Chosen one, there is a quiet strength being formed in you right now, one that cannot be built in crowded places, one that does not grow in the spotlight, but in solitude, in the secret place, in those long stretches of time where no one claps, no one calls, and no one checks in. Have you noticed that God often does his deepest work when no one else is watching? This is the sacred wilderness, the same kind Moses walked through before leading a nation, the same kind Jesus endured for 40 days before his public ministry, the same kind David navigated with nothing but a harp, some sheep, and the presence of God. Could it be that your current silence is actually holy ground? You are not being punished, you are being planted, and planting never looks glamorous. It looks like burial, like disappearance. But what man thinks is a funeral, heaven knows is a seed. And seeds don't beg for attention. They go deep in the dark, in the unseen, until the roots are strong enough to carry the weight of the fruit. Are your roots growing right now? Is God stretching your inner life so your future won't collapse under visibility? This is why you must fall in love with the process, not just the promise. Fall in love with the mornings no one sees, with the worship that has no band, with the tears that have no audience. Because this is where your oil is pressed. This is where your strength is forged. You are not preparing for applause. You're preparing for longevity. Even Jesus didn't skip Gethsemane, and in that garden, surrounded by sleeping disciples, he sweat drops of blood, not because of pain, but because of pressure. And yet he said, "Not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. That is the power of obedience. Not when it's easy, but when it costs you visibility, when it costs you comfort, when it costs you your old identity. Are you willing to be obedient even when it makes you invisible? Because, chosen one, invisibility is not insignificance, it's insulation. It's how God keeps the flame pure while the fire is still forming. Once it's ready, he will reveal it, not a second too soon, not a moment too late. Even in the world, those who made the greatest impact were often misunderstood at first. Florence Nightingale, born into wealth, shocked her aristocratic family when she chose to serve the sick and dying during wartime. She worked in silence with scandalous humility and was criticized deeply. But through her private, tireless work, she revolutionized modern nursing. History didn't recognize her because she demanded it. It couldn't ignore her because of the fruit. That is what you're carrying now. Quiet power, hidden brilliance, sacred conviction. You don't need to be loud when your life speaks, and it will. So don't rush your revealing. Don't resent your pruning. Don't despise the isolation. All of it is making you durable. And when the time is right, the God who has seen you in secret will reward you openly. Matthew 6:6. That reward won't just be things. It will be the fulfillment of purpose, the clarity of identity, the unstoppable peace of knowing you were faithful when no one else was looking. This is your sacred silence. Your anointing is not fragile, it's maturing, and you are not behind. You are becoming. Chosen one, if your spirit has been stirred by this message, it's because heaven is echoing what you've already been sensing. Your time is now. This is no longer about waiting. This is about walking. You've survived the crushing. You've endured the silence. You've obeyed when no one was clapping. And now, God is saying, step forward. The oil has already been poured. The stage has already been set. The assignment has already been written with your name on it. So don't shrink. Don't question it. Don't try to explain it away. You don't need confirmation from crowds when you've already been commissioned by Christ. Your obedience has brought you to this threshold, and your faith will carry you across it. You don't have to know all the steps. You just have to take the next one. Because when heaven orders your path, even the ground beneath your feet becomes holy. Let the doors open. Let the favor flow. Let the divine timing align everything that felt like it was once lost. You are not chasing the moment. You are the moment. So if this message found you, declare it. Comment 777 below as a sign of agreement, of alignment, of awakening. Let heaven and earth know, I am ready. If you feel led, we invite you to support this message through Super Thanks. Every gift, big or small, helps us reach more of God's chosen ones around the world. But even if you don't give, thank you. Your presence here matters. Your spirit matters, and your calling is priceless. Please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this message with someone who may be standing at the edge of their breakthrough, not realizing that this Monday is the day everything changes. You are covered. You are called. You are rising. God bless you, chosen one. Heaven is watching, earth is shifting, and your scene is playing now. We'll see you in the next message.